my side of the bed was human fecal matter. It was actually her birthday. It was about 4:30 in the morning, April 22nd. And that's when I left. And from that moment on, I did not see Ms. Heard until May 21st.
And why was that?
I had received some news that was as absurd and grotesque and cruel. And then I was shown a picture of what the problem was. I had gone to Mr. Bett and said, she's at Coachella. I think it's a good time to go downtown so that I can get some of my things, you know, and get them out of there, especially the things that were precious to me, you know, children things from friends, Brando, Hunter, Thompson, whatever, things that were important to me. And he said, I don't think now's a good time to go. And I thought, it's the perfect time. She's not going to be home for 2 days. And then he showed me a photograph on his telephone of...
Objection, Your Honor. Also, you're saying.
It's a photograph, Your Honor.
As being relayed to him by Mr. Bett.
He says he looked at it on his phone.
I'll overrule the objection as the photograph.
What was the photograph of Mr. Depp?
It was a photograph of the bed, our bed, and on my side of the bed was human fecal matter. So I understood why it wasn't a good time to go down there. My initial response to that was, I mean, I laughed. It was so outside. It was so bizarre and so grotesque that I could only laugh. So I did not go down there that day.
So why did you go over to the penthouses on May 21st, 2016?
Ms. Heard had requested that I come over to have a talk, to explain. She wanted to explain things, and so I went there. But I also wanted to gather up some of those things, you know, precious things that you live with. So I went over there to have a discussion, what I thought would be calm understanding. And I figured she understood as well as I did that there was no way back. And I also felt that she would understand that it was the best thing for both of us, and there were no, there was nothing to, there should have been nothing to fight over. It was clear. I told her that I would take care of her and all that, and then she she started she was telling me about she brought up the situation of her fecal matter on the bed, and I, and she tried to blame it on the dogs. But
Why didn't you think it could have been the dogs?
The dogs weigh, they're teacup Yorkies. They weigh about 4 pounds each. The photograph that I saw, I mean, I lived with those dogs for many years, and so did Hilda Vargas. She's a woman who's been with me for 30 plus years, you know, from the very beginning, and she was the one who photographed it. It was clear she knew the dogs as well as I did. And none of that did not come from a dog. That just didn't.
Mr. Depp, could we back up a little bit? Who went over to the penthouses with you on May 21st?
I went to the penthouses with Jerry Judge and Sean Bett, and I had asked them on the just in case, please pay particular attention and stay as close to the door, you know, stay at the door, or if you got a split, come back quick, you know, if they went down to the security shack or whatever it was, don't linger, get back, because if you hear anything, if you hear screaming, you got to get in there. So leave the door unlocked and spring in there if you hear something.
Why did you want them to be able to get into the penthouse quickly if they heard anything?
Just based on my past experiences with Miss Heard, when you say something that she either didn't agree with or swore up and down that it was a complete falsity and there was something wrong with me, I'm crazy, and you know, the escalation. If anything was going to start to escalate, I did not want to be there. So I had them waiting by the door to get in there in case anything went down.
So when you walked into the penthouse, what did you see?
When I first walked into the penthouses, you walk in and then make a left, and then you're in the kitchen area, and then beyond that was the living room. I saw Miss Heard sitting there on the couch, and I went over to talk. I went and sat down on the couch. She was sitting on, the couch was kind of a, you know, a square, or a half square, you know. She was sitting on one side of the couch, I was sitting on the other. That's when she was trying to explain a few things about Coachella, and then the fecal delivery. And saying that it was the dogs, and I could not agree with her. I'd lived with those dogs. I picked up their fun. It was not the dogs. And so what happened was, I said, let's call Kevin Murphy.
Who's Kevin Murphy?
Kevin Murphy had been, he was in Los Angeles. He was the house manager over places in West Hollywood, and he was also taking care of the penthouses downtown, if any work needed to be done or this or that. And he would schedule the girls who would come in, the ladies like Hilda, to do their work. And he'd had a conversation with Ms. Heard right about the time that Ms. Heard was screaming obscenities at him and calling him a liar, and that he was a scumbag. And I told her, I said, listen, don't speak to this man that way. Do not disrespect this man in that way. And then Kevin Murphy just hung up. And so at that point, she was riled, of course. And I went upstairs to gather belongings. When I came back downstairs, she was on the phone with Io Tillett Wright, and they were making a wonderful point of just how funny it was that I thought that some human being had actually dropped a grumpy, pardon the term, onto the bed, and they were yucking it up. They were laughing about the whole thing, and it was, you know, it was a tough couple of days, and I really didn't feel like I deserved that kind of treatment